Here comes Ryan, here we go. Little firework, watch him glow. Hey! Got a tick, got a trick, got a giggle in his pocket. Laugh so big, yeah, you just can't stop it. Ryan's Tic Chronicles, hey! Turn it up, anything's possible. Hey! Wow! He's a bright young brain with a wild side grin. Every tick, every joke, let the fun begin. Hey!
The desk lamp flickered, casting long, jagged shadows across the bedroom walls. Ryan's thumb tapped, a lone sound. He scrolled past endless feeds, his leg bouncing in a rapid, involuntary motion that shook the floorboards. He had watched her videos many times. He tapped the thumbnail, and the screen illuminated his face. A video began to play once again. It was one of Bailey's videos. He stopped the bouncing of his leg. He leaned closer, watching video of the lady with Tourette Syndrome again. He tapped the replay button, then watched it again, his posture relaxing against the pillows for the first time in hours. The silence of the room no longer felt heavy, but expectant. He opened the messaging interface, his thumb hovering over the glass. He typed a single line, deleted it, and typed again. "Hi, Bailey. Your videos have really helped me. Would you ever like to meet for coffee?" He stared at the screen, heart hammering against his ribs, and pressed send. The notification chime cut through the quiet of the bedroom like a bell. Ryan grabbed the phone, his thumb trembling as he scrolled to the reply. "I would love to. Let's meet Saturday." He exhaled, a long, ragged sound that seemed to empty the room of its stale air. Saturday morning. The park was alive, with the sound of wind in the trees and distant footsteps. Ryan stood by a weathered picnic table. Bailey walked toward the table with a steady, purposeful stride. She raised a hand, waving. Ryan pushed himself away from the table, his legs feeling heavy. As she reached him, he had never met someone with Tourette Syndrome. She sat down, and he followed, mirroring her position. He didn't know what to say, but was worried about his tics.
It is great to meet you. I have followed you on social media for some time now. I think it is amazing that you post so much about your tics and are not afraid to talk about them.
Ryan, it took me years to feel comfortable enough to talk about the condition in public. I know that talking about it helps to educate others and raise awareness about Tourette Syndrome.
I wish I could be as open as you are about your Tourette Syndrome. I don't like people seeing me tic, and I never talk about it with anyone, not even friends.
I know it took strength to reach out to me, and I am happy you did, but this is just the first step. There are many things available to you that can help.
He sat there wondering if this was really true. He was told there was help, but actually hearing this from someone who has experienced this gave him hope. Searching for a trace of the judgment he had feared for years, but found only a positive response that gave him hope. They stood and began to walk along the winding gravel path. The park was busy. Joggers cut past them, and parents pushed strollers, their eyes scanning the terrain. Ryan kept his hands buried, still afraid he may tic in front of Bailey, his shoulders locked against the urge to twitch. They reached a narrow section of the path. "Let it out. Be free, and don't worry about what people think. They have the problem, not you," Bailey said, forcing them to step aside for a group of teenagers laughing loudly. As the group passed, Ryan felt the familiar hurt, anger, disappointment, and embarrassment. A sharp pull in his shoulder. Then let it happen again. At the same moment, Bailey had a sharp vocal tic herself. They had triggered each other to tic in front of one another. She did not flinch. She did not hide her face. They stood still for a second. Bailey said, "See, I do it too." The world was moving around them in a blur of activity. A stranger glanced their way. Eyes centered on Ryan, then looked away. Ryan felt the heat rise in his cheeks, his heart rate spiking as the weight of being seen pressed down on him. He looked at Bailey. She was watching him, her expression calm, her posture unbothered. She gestured toward the pond ahead. He let out a long breath, the tension in his shoulders finally dropping away. The embarrassment faded, replaced by the quiet realization that he did not have to hide.
Everyone experiences Tourette differently. Some tics are loud, some are quiet. It is normal for them to change.
A look of profound relief crossing his face. He stared at his hands, watching his fingers tap against the wood, then looked back at her. "I thought I was the only one," he admitted, his voice barely rising above the rustle of leaves. Bailey gestured with her hands, counting off points.
There is no single treatment that works for everyone. Some uses therapies designed for Tourette Syndrome, some use medication, and some use other methods to manage stress that could trigger tics.
The key is working with your healthcare team to find what works for you. The words hung in the air as Ryan pondered these thoughts, dismantling the wall of isolation he had built inside his bedroom. Ryan looked down at his palms, wondering if he might be able to help himself.
I have learned that asking for help is not weakness. It is taking care of myself.
The weight he had carried for years seemed to evaporate, leaving him grounded and present in the open air. They walked toward the park exit, the path winding near the pond where the water mirrored the deepening sky. Bailey paused and looked at him, her voice sincere and steady. "Meeting others with this condition reminded me I am not fighting alone," she said. They exchanged a final nod, and she turned toward the gate. Ryan walked a few paces further and found an empty wooden bench facing the water where he could gather his thoughts. He sat down and let his shoulders drop, his posture completely open and relaxed. He watched the light fade from the trees. The silence of the park was no longer heavy or suffocating. It was peaceful. He thought of his bedroom, the desk lamp, and the restless hours spent scrolling through screens in the dark. That version of his life felt distant now. He thought to himself, "I thought meeting someone with Tourette Syndrome would teach me about the condition." He had found someone who understood, and in that connection, Ryan thought. Instead, it taught me something even more important. Hope. Sometimes the best medicine isn't found in a bottle. Sometimes it's finding someone who truly understands. He had finally found the hope he thought he would never have.